everybody. The first thing I want to do is just make sure you guys can hear me okay. So if you can, in the question box, just write yes or no to let me know if my audio is coming through okay for me. I want to make sure I don't have any audio issues before I get started. If you can't see the question box, you should see a little orange arrow on your webinar screen, and that would allow you to go ahead and click and expand your window and see the question box. Okay, thank you guys. It looks like my audio is coming through okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today's webinar is about dotloop. Dotloop, for those of you who aren't familiar with what dotloop is yet, dotloop is an online collaboration system. It lets you do an entire transaction digitally from start to finish. You can use the whole system, or you can just pick and choose and use certain pieces of the system. You don't have to use every single feature and functionality that it has. You can use as much of it as you want to. As a company, we've decided to go paperless and use dotloop in our offices. That doesn't mean as agents that you have to be paperless unless you want to be. That's completely up to you guys. So you can use this a number of ways. You can use it just to access the forms, print them out, and then write them by hand if that's what you're currently doing. You can go in and create a loop and then fill out what we call the details page, and that allows you to pre-populate all of your forms and all of your documents, and it makes it more efficient for you guys and easier to fill those out since information populates through them. You have the ability to share them with your clients, get some contracts and forms signed, and then you can share those with your lender, your insurance person, your settlement person, anyone that you typically collaborate with. And then you can even go as far as handing it into your office admin through the system. Instead of walking into the office and sticking it on her desk, you can use dotloop to submit your files. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the system so you guys can see what it looks like and go through everything with me. So I just went to dotloop.com. You can either go directly to dotloop.com, or there is an icon on Home Sale Center. So if you use Home Sale Center regularly, you can just click the dotloop icon. Make sure you're using Google Chrome as your browser. Internet Explorer and Firefox, if you don't have the most recently updated versions, there are a couple functionality issues that we've seen happen with it. So definitely make sure you're using Google Chrome. If you don't have Chrome on your computer, open up Firefox or Internet Explorer, whatever you have, Google Chrome download, and then you can download that free browser to your computer. So in the top right corner, I'm going to click Sign In, and I'm just going to sign in with my home sale email and my password. If for some reason you forget your password, we actually don't have access to look that up for you, but you can just click on Forgot Your Password, put in your email, and it'll email you a link so that you can reset your password. When you log into your dotloop account, this is what it should look like. You should have a Cabernet toolbar. You should see the company logo in here. What that means is it means that you're attached to your office. If it's blue, you just have a basic account. Anyone can go to dotloop.com and can create a free basic dotloop account and use the system. You have limited features, limited functionality, and you're not going to see the forms. Once you're attached to the company, since Home Sale has purchased premium for all of you, you have some additional features and functionality, plus all the forms are in there for you, and they're all organized for you. So make sure that you're looking at a Cabernet toolbar with the company logo in it. If you're not, email me your email address and the password, and then I can attach you to the office. So just let me know if you need some help with that. Just to kind of walk you through the system, the little smiley face icon is your loops. That's your home page. So think of that as your home button. When you're looking at your loops page, there's a little icon here. You can either use grid view, and you see all the little loops on here, or if you click it again, you can use list view. Grid view looks a little bit prettier if you upload a picture of the house, but I like list view because it has a search bar. So as you get more and more transactions in here, it's easy just to use the search and search for one that you're looking for specifically instead of trying to scroll down through the page. So I like list view. If you have it on list view, you log out, it saves it for you. The next icon is a task section. So you have the ability to create checklists and task lists in this system. So if I click on this, this is going to have every task that's associated with one of my loops. If I've had some specifically assigned to me, those will show the ones that have been assigned to me. And then if I had due dates, they would have some due dates on there. So that's just a running task list for your entire account. I would really focus on creating a loop, using a task list in your loop, and using it that way. The people section, when you create a loop and you add people to your loop, it automatically stores their name and email address in the people section. So it kind of gives you an address book. It does help that it saves them here for you, because if you need to share something with them again, when you start typing their email, it pops up for you instead of having to memorize their entire email address. And you can add a person directly to the contact section if you need to. The fourth one, templates. Templates are your dotloop documents. So if I click on templates, it's going to open up all of the documents that I have in here. So I have Lancaster buyer packet, Lancaster listing packet, accounting docs, settlement forms, Keystone input sheets. These are all of the documents that we put together for you guys, and we organize them in packets. That way it's easy for you to locate them. So if I just click on Lancaster listing packet, if I want to print out these documents, you just click the documents that you want to print, click the little drop down, click download, and then it downloads them to one big PDF file on your computer. And once that is finished with downloading, then you can print it. So if all you're using dotloop for is to just access the documents and then print them and fill them out by hand, you can just right-click, or you can probably do file print depending on what browser you're using. Chrome, I just right-click, print, and then you can print those and fill them out by hand. So really easy to just go in, select your folder, and select the documents that you want to use. And then again, we just click the drop down, download it, so it opens it up as a PDF file, and then you print that PDF. If you're looking for something specific, the search bar makes it really easy to find something. So if I just type in contract as an example, the contract comes up. So I would rely heavily on the search bar. If you can't find something in a specific packet or folder over here, Version Now Documents stores every single document that we've uploaded into dotloop. So I would just go to Version Now and then search for what you're looking for here. And then if it's in dotloop, it'll come up for you. If for some reason there's a form that you're looking for that's not in here, let me know, and we can try to find out if it's missing or if it didn't get added correctly. The last section is where you go to edit your account and your profile. So when I hover over here, you can see that I have multiple profiles. Because of training, I'm on here as an admin for every office. Typically, you guys will only have 2 profiles. You have one that's Cabernet and attached to your office, and then just like any user can, you have a free profile that's not attached to the office that you can use for personal things. So if I hover and I just go to My Account, here's where you can upload your photo, make sure your name is in here how you want it, select the office profile as your default so you don't have to change it every time. You should see your office name and office information. And at the very bottom, here's your notifications, document shared, document signed, your signature required, message received. The bottom 4, I would uncheck. Otherwise, you're going to get a ton of notifications as your admins are working through the system, and you guys don't really need those notifications, and I don't want you to get annoyed and overwhelmed with too many emails. Compliance status of a loop, when you click Submit for Review so that you hand it in, when they are finished and they change it to processed, it's going to email you every time they do that unless you uncheck it. They're also tagging loops with keywords like the MLS number, incomplete, So they have basically the equivalent of putting a Post-it note on your file to remind them to do something. Those notifications you don't need. The same with writing a message or the activity report. So I would uncheck those bottom 4 and then click Save, and then that'll just eliminate some of those emails that you're getting. If you want to add an additional profile, you would just do Add Profile, and then that'll let you set up a personal profile. So you can use that for anything that's not related to your real estate business. Let's say that, for example, I don't have a printer at home, and I was filling out something online, and it told me that I needed to print it, fill it out, and then email it to somebody. Well, since I don't have a printer, I couldn't print it to fill it out. So I uploaded that PDF to my free dotloop account, dropped in some text fields, filled out my document, and then I emailed it to them. So you can use it for anything outside of real estate that you don't need attached to the office. So you're more than welcome to have additional profiles. As you scroll down the settings section, this is where you need to adjust your name. So if it's in here and you want to switch from Jen to Jennifer as an example, you can do that. You can change what your name looks like when you sign. You can add your middle initial if you want to. So you can indicate how your initials are. This is also where if you want to change your email address. So let's say that we set up your account with your @homesale.com email, but you want to use Gmail because that's what's in the MLS. So every time an agent shares something with you, they're using that email. You would just do change email, type in the email you want to use, and then it's going to email you a link to your account, and you just verify your email. If you're using something other than your @homesale.com email address, make sure your office admin knows that. That way they are able to, if you hand in a paper file, that gives them the ability to attach you to one of your listings or one of your pendings, and it'll show up in your account. They need to make sure they're using the correct email address. Otherwise, you're not going to have those loops showing up in your account. You won't have access to them, so that's really important. Okay, so I'm going to scroll back up to the top and click on the smiley face to take me back to the main loops page. So I'm just going to start with clicking Create a Loop, and you always want to name it by address. So I'm just going to do 4 PA. If, for an example, you're working with a buyer and you're starting with the consumer notice and with some other documents, they don't have an address yet, name it by your client, and then you can always go back and change it. So I'm just going to do Create Loop. So once you create a loop, the first thing you always want to do is click Edit Details. The Details page is what populates the documents and the information on your documents. So click Edit Details. You can upload a photo if you want to. I'm going to skip that step. Is this loop for a real estate transaction? Always, always, always click Sale Purchase. I know that if it's a listing loop, that doesn't necessarily make sense for you, but Sale Purchase, if you click No, when you add your seller, you can't add them as a seller. You can add a person, but you can't indicate that they are your seller, which means if I open up my document, it doesn't let me assign the seller position for them to sign the documents, and it won't populate all of the seller fields with their name. If you accidentally click No, you're going to need to create a whole new loop and start from the beginning. So always click Sale Purchase. You're not able to change it if you don't do that correctly. I'm going to go ahead and start with adding a person. So I'm going to put a seller in here. And I'm going to put in their email address. If you don't know their email address, you can still put their name in here. You just cannot have them sign documents unless they have their email address. And then I'm going to click Roll, and I'm going to select Seller. The only time you click Add to My Team is if you're adding your assistant or a team member, somebody that's on the same side of the deal as you. You never want to add clients or an agent on the other side of the deal to your team. Adding them to your team gives them access to every single thing in your loop instead of only having access to access to what you've shared with them. Send intro email, I'm going to skip that also because they're going to get an intro email and then there's nothing in the loop yet since I haven't added any documents. So for now, just name, email, indicate that they're the seller, click add person. So I'm going to do add person and I'm going to add the second seller and their email. They do need different email addresses. So if your sellers share an email address, only one of them is going to be able to use that email and sign. I would just quickly walk them through creating a free Yahoo account or a free Gmail account. If they're not comfortable creating a free Gmail account, which is really easy to do and only takes a couple minutes, they're probably not going to be comfortable e-signing documents anyways. But they will need their own email address in order to actually do the e-signing and the e-signatures in here. I'm going to click More, and I'm going to put in the street number and the street name, so it populates this as their mailing address. And I'm only going to do it for one of them. And I'm going to scroll down, put in my property information. And scroll down to listing information, and I'm just going to put in a list price for now, and then I'm going to keep going. That way I don't hold you guys up. Scroll down, click Save. Then I'm going to go back up and go back to Loop. So from here, I always start with renaming my folder. That way everything stays nice and organized for me. So right now this just says folder. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow next to my folder and click Rename. And then I'm just going to call this Listing Folder. That way I can put all my listing paperwork in the listing folder. And then if I get an offer in, I can go ahead and just put all my paperwork for the offer in a separate offer folder. If I get more than one offer, then I can have more than one folder and keep everything really nice and organized in the system. So now that I've renamed listing folder, I'm going to start with adding my documents. If you click Add From, you have 3 different options. So I can add from my computer, which would be uploading a PDF. I can add from templates, which are my interactive dotloop documents, or I can add something that's in my email. So for now, I'm going to do add from templates because I'm going to use the system to fill out these documents. And I'm just going to start with Lancaster listing packet, and I'm just going to select a couple forms in here. And do add documents. There is a select all. You can check the ones you want or hit select all, and there is a search bar up at the top. So now that I've opened my documents, I'm going to go ahead and click on one to open one. If you select the folder, it selects everything in the document, so you can click open. It'll open all of them at the same time. You can select certain ones, or you can just click on the document name and open one. So the next step is to assign the fields. So make sure Seller 1 has your seller's name, Seller 2 has the other seller's name. Make sure that you choose yourself as the listing agent, and then as listing broker, you're going to want to select BHHS Home Sale Realty and then your office. Click Assign. And as you can see, it filled out some of the information. Now, I didn't fill everything out on the details page just to kind of save some time with training, but the more you guys fill out, the more it's going to populate your documents. What it didn't fill out is the broker office information. So what you need to do is go to More and then autofill from loop details. Click yes. And that will fill out the broker information, the address, the phone number for you guys. So just to point that out one more time, I went to More, Autofill from Loop Details, and then it filled out the office information for me. So from here, a lot of this information is already filled out. So you can just kind of go through, and I didn't put a school district, so I can just click, and then I can put in my school district. So let's just do Hempfield. And you can go through and put in your dates. Now, the more you fill out on the details page, the more this information is going to be populated. However, I didn't go through and populate everything just to save some time. So you can just click and type right in your fields. If you scroll down, you can see that it has my seller's initials here. They haven't initialed it yet. It's just showing you what it looks like when they do initial it. If you print this out or share it with them, they won't be there. It'll say click and initial here. So it's just showing you where they will be initialing on your document. So from this point, you can always click More and download it as a PDF, or you can do More and you can print it if you're going to have them come into the office and sign it. So for now, I'm going to click Save, and then I'm going to go back to my loop. So for the sake of using the full system, I'm going to share this document with the seller. So I can click, and you can select more than one document at a time, and I'm just going to do Share. Now my sellers are already in here. They're already checked. They have can sign permission, so they can sign and initial. When they sign and initial, you do get a date stamp and a time stamp with that. You don't need to go through and add that. You do have some other options. View only, can sign, which is what we're going to do for this one, can fill and sign. So if you're doing the seller's disclosure, as an example, you would want to share that with can fill and sign. So you could either share all of the documents except the disclosure with can sign, and then share the disclosure separately with can fill and sign. Or as long as they know that they're only supposed to be filling out the disclosure, everything else they're just signing, you could share them all at once with can fill and sign. That's really up to you guys. Can edit in private. The only time you would use can edit in private is when you're working with the agent on the other side of the deal and you need them to adjust something. So as an example, let's say you're working with your clients and you're putting an offer in. So you filled out the agreement, your client signed it, and now you're sharing it with the listing agent on the other side of the deal with can edit in private. That way, they can look at it with their clients. If they decide to counteroffer, this allows them to change the price without you seeing it, get their clients to sign it, and send it back. Anytime something is changed or edited on a document, the signatures are cleared. So if they do change that price, your client's initials and signatures are cleared from the document, then they could share it with their clients, get the signatures and initial, and then send it back to you. So that's really the only time I would ever do can edit in private. So I'm just going to do can sign. You can include a message. The message will actually show up in the body of the email. The other feature that I like, now let's say my sellers are going to e-sign. If you are sending this to an agent on the other side of the deal who you know is not going to use the system, instead of opening the documents, downloading them to a PDF, saving them to your computer, and then opening your email and sending them an attachment, you can still use the system. So you could just click Show Options, attach PDF to email. What it does is it will still send them the email. They have the ability to sign if they want to, but it also attaches it as a PDF. So if you know the agent on the other side isn't using dotloop and isn't going to use it, you can attach it as a PDF, and then they can open the attachment, print it out, and have their client sign it by hand. So you can still use the sharing and the messaging in the system to send an email, and it will go to their email. They don't have to be in the system to receive this. So for now, I'm going to uncheck, and I'm just going to click Share. And then it says, this document has been shared, waiting on others. From this screen, if you accidentally shared something and you didn't want to share it with them, you can click Remove. If they told you that they didn't get it, you could just click Reshare. So I'm just going to close it. And now it tells me waiting on others. If I hover over the person, it tells me I shared it with Laura, Sam, and then it always has admins on here just because of how the system's set up. So at this point, you're waiting for your clients to go ahead and sign your documents. So I'm going to sign out as myself. That way you can see what the clients receive on their end. So I'm going to open up Gmail. I'm going to go into the seller's email to just show you what it looks like on the consumer end of this. So it says action needed, and it has your name, Jennifer Brown, needs you to sign a document. Click on it. Here's my message that I included with my email. They click on View Document, and it's going to open up their documents. So the first thing that they're going to do is just click Start Signing. And then anywhere where they need to initial, it just says click here. The very first time, they have the option to change their signature. So if he wants to sign as Samuel instead of Sam, or if he wants to add his middle initial, they can do that. So adopt and sign. They can also draw their signature. Now on the computer, it looks pretty awful if I try to draw it. It does look nicer if they're on a tablet or on their phone. So I'm just going to use the one that the computer creates, do adopt and sign. And every time they click, it drops them down to the next signature or initial spot. And as you can see there for a second, I know it's hard to see since it's scrolling, it does date stamp and time stamp that for you. So I'm going to click, whoops, I missed one. If you do miss one, like you guys saw me miss that one, it will go back and let me do it. So Sam, click here to sign. It'll bounce back up because I missed this one. Click again, confirm signing, and they can go back. So if I want to go back and read all of this, they can scroll through and they can go back and read everything. I can close this if I want to. At this point, they can create their own dotloop account. They don't have to. I would encourage them to create a dotloop account because then as long as you have the loop in the system, which the company's policy is 5 years, your clients have access to their documents for 5 years. A really nice touch point, after settlement, hand in your HUD to the office admin. The office admin's going to scan your HUD into your loop for you. So next year for tax season, you can shoot them an email and say, hey Samuel, I just wanted to remind you that your HUD is in your dotloop account so you have it for taxes. If you need help logging into your account, let me know. So here's where they're going to create their password, click sign up, and that's all they need to do to create their dotloop account. And then just like you do, although they just have the free version, they have their loop, they can open it, and at any point they can see their documents that's been signed. So I'm going to sign out. And I'm just going to sign back in as myself as the agent. And the easiest thing to do is click search. Search for your loop. So the other thing I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to scroll down. So the people section, you can see that it has your Laura seller, Samuel seller, you're in here, the office is in here. It has this trusted partners center section, and it has the mortgage officer and title officer, and we are going to be adding your insurance rep for each office. At this point, they can't see anything in your loop, but if you use our core services, it makes it really easy to add them. So if you're using Keith as your lender, and let's say we're working with buyers at this point and you want to introduce him to your buyers to get them pre-approved, he can't see anything at this point, but you would click connect and it'll connect him to your loop. That way he can work back and forth with your clients. What I like about this is that it's your loop since you created it, so you can see everything that goes on between him and your clients. So it's a really easy way to use our in-house core services. If you use somebody else for your lender, that's fine. You would just click add person, type in their name, email, add them as the loan officer, and then you can share any documents with them and you can introduce them to your clients. So at this point, the other section is add a task. So you can add a task list. So you can put in yard sign, print, brochures for open house. You can make your own task list. Once you've created your task list and put all your items in here, if you want to save it and use it every single time you have a listing, then you can save it as a template. So you would click this little drop-down arrow, click Create Template. I'm just going to call it Listing Checklist. So if I scroll down, let's say this isn't here, so I'm going to do Delete. To add your created task list, you would do Add, Load Template. And then I'm going to scroll down. So here's my listing checklist, and that'll add it to the system. So instead of typing it out every single time, type it once, and then like I did up here, I just click the drop down, create template, and then you can save it. So you can do that for a listing loop and a buying loop. That way you have your task list in the system and you're not typing them over and over again. You have the ability to assign it to someone. So if you're working with a team, you can click no one, and you can assign putting the yard sign into your assistant, printing the brochures to your assistant, or to another team member. You can assign it to a person, and you can also assign a due date. So you can kind of use that and interact and collaborate with your team. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up. So at this point, let's say that I'm ready to hand this into the office. So the equivalent of putting this on your office admin's desk, you would click Submit for Review. Make sure that your listing folder is selected. Select Type. I'm going to do Listing Folder. And then I'm just going to include a message. So let's say that I'm in Centerville, so I'm just going to include a message for Sandy since I emailed her the photos. That way she knows that she already has them. And for me, I'm just going to write, ignore this. It's Ben and I'm training. And then submit. And then that will notify your office admin that you've submitted a loop. That way they can go ahead, they can process it, they can put it in the MLS if they need to, and they can go ahead and process everything for your listing folder. So I'm just going to go back to loops. And let's just search for our loop again. So let's say we submitted it, we had everything. If we were missing a document, there's messaging. This is the messaging center for the entire loop. So if you click on that, you can message your clients, and you can see all the messages are stored here. So you can always, if Laura didn't sign this yet, just wanted to make sure you received the documents that I sent. Click send. When you send a message, it always goes to their email. So Laura doesn't have to be in dotloop to receive this. It'll go to her Gmail account. But the really nice part is it logs everything in here for you. So you have a running history of all your messages. It also saves you from being in dotloop, having to close it, open up your email just to message your clients and people that are involved in this transaction. You can use the dotloop messaging system to do all of that. Laura can, if she opens up her email on her phone, click reply. The message that she replies with will go to your email, but it's also logged and stored in the system. So that's a really nice way to collaborate in dotloop instead of having to bounce back and forth to your email. There's also messaging on each specific document. So let's say I submitted this and my seller missed an initial spot for some reason. Sandy could always message me through here and say, hey Jen, you're missing initials on line 4 for the exclusive right to sell real estate listing contract. So you can use the messaging for everything or for specific documents just to stay organized. At this point, let's pretend that we've gotten an offer in on the property just so I can show you guys some of the extra features. So I'm going to do add folder, and I'm going to call this one my offer folder. So one of the other features is that you can add from email. You can add from your computer or you can add from your email. So add from computer would be if you received the offer paperwork. Let's say the other agent dropped it off at your office. So you scanned it from the copier and you saved it on your computer. Add from computer allows you to locate a PDF document on your computer, and it uploads it into dotloop for you as a PDF. Now this is a huge PDF, so it does take a little while to upload it into the system. And if you upload a PDF, you can always open it, rotate it. The other nice thing is you can split documents in here, which I'm going to show you how to do. That's one of the features that the basic dotloop accounts don't have. So instead of scanning 10 different documents at the scanner and at the copier and scanning them one at a time, you can scan all 10 at once, and then you can split them from the dotloop system. So it's up to you guys. I find it easier to split it once it's been uploaded. So I'm going to go ahead and click and open my PDF. Now it looks like everything's rotated correctly, but if it's not, you can do more and you can rotate the page that you're looking at or the entire file. For now, I'm going to do more, and I'm going to do split document. So the first thing you need to do is how many documents are in this one file, how many times are you splitting it? So let's say that I scanned in 7 documents. So I'm going to make this a 7. Scrolling down, you can see how many pages, and you see that little gray page number on the right. So you don't have to keep track and count as you're scrolling. So it looks like this one, let's say it's 13 pages. So I'm going to do page 1 to page 13. And I'm not going to actually go through, but let's say the next one's only 1 page. So that's 14 to 14, and then I'm going to name them as I go. So agreement, this is an addendum. So the next one could be 5 from page 15, and it's 2 pages, so page 15 to 17. Let's say it's the consumer notice. So you can name them as you go, and then you can do split document. So let's say I went through and I did all the page numbers and I named all of them. Now it'll split your document, split your one big PDF file into 7 separate documents. So if I go back to my loop, you can see that here's my documents. I can drag and drop and reorder them if I want to. So really easy to do. I'm just going to open this one as an example. So let's say that you need to add some fields. Add signature and add text are up at the top because they're the ones that you use the most. More, you can do initials. Again, signature and initials automatically date and timestamp it. You can add a name box, check box, radio button. You can strike through. So if you have this agreement and you need to change something, you can always strike through, and then you can add your initial box. So let's just do add signature just to kind of show you some examples. I'm just going to drag it, and let's just say I need to drop it, and then I can do assign field, and I can assign this to Samuel Seller as an example. If you're doing a lot, so let's say you're dropping initials on the bottom of every single page, to make it easier, you could do more, add initials, hold shift on your computer. So instead of having to scroll back up and click add initials every time, if you hold shift, you can just keep dropping them on there instead of having to click back up and do add initials, drop, add initials, drop. Holding shift allows you just to drop them all, and it's much quicker for you guys. So really easy with dragging and dropping fields. I'm just going to go back at this point. I'm not going to save. So a couple other things that I want to show you guys how to do. Archiving. So let's say, as an example, you filled out all of your documents in the system, and then you printed them out and you got handwritten signatures. You need to archive the old ones, and then you just want to scan in the new ones. So let's say these are all documents that I filled out, printed, and then my client signed them by hand. So what I don't want to do is have 2 copies of everything. What you want to do, as an example, is select the ones that you want to archive, click Archive, and it takes them off your screen. If you ever need them back, you just click Show Archived, and then the drop-down arrow, you select Unarchive, and it brings it back. So you do Hide Archived, and it's there again. So I'm just going to archive it. So now that it's been archived, you want to add the ones that you've gotten hand signatures for. This also works if you're sending them to the agent on the other side of the deal, and they're printing them out and doing handwritten signatures instead of using the e-signatures. So a lot of times you're going to archive the old ones and then do Add Document. The other feature that we haven't looked at yet is Add From Email, and I love this feature. So if you do Add From and click Email, it gives you this huge long email address that is specific to your offer folder and to this loop. So every time you do it, you're going to get a different email address. The system, you can see, email copied to clipboard, it already copied it for me. So what I need to do is go into my email, and I need to find the attachment that I have from the agent on the other side of the deal, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to forward it to my dotloop email, and all it does at that point is it forwards in my attachment. So I'm going to go into my email, and here's the one with the attachment as an example. So open up your email, and it does need to be a PDF. I'm just going to use this one just to show you guys how to do this. So find your email with the attached PDF from the agent or from your clients. All you need to do is click Forward, and then right-click Paste, because as soon as you clicked on Add From Email, it copied it for you. So all you do is find the email, click Forward, right-click Paste, and now I'm going to send this attached PDF. Let's pretend that's a PDF here. Let me just grab one real quick just to show you. Then click Send. It will email your attached PDF into dotloop. Now if you're on this screen, it's not going to show up. You need to click Refresh and refresh your browser, and then that will pull it through. If you're sending yourself a really large PDF, you might have to refresh a couple times just because it takes a little while to email that big PDF into the system for you. So I click Refresh. I would give it a couple minutes. Click Refresh again, and eventually it'll pull through that big PDF file. So there it is. You can see that here's my big PDF. Again, you can open it, you can split it, get your signatures if you need to. That covers most of the functionality in the system, so you guys know how to add documents, fill them out, how to submit for review. Again, to hand it into your office, you would just do Submit for Review. So now I'm going to submit the offer paperwork. Select Type, Offer Folder, and you would just click Submit, and then that'll notify your office admin that you've submitted that loop, and basically the equivalent of putting your folder on your admin's desk. So that covers everything from start to finish, how to use dotloop. A couple other features that we have that are really nice. If I go to the templates section, just like we have folders created for you, you can create your own. So if there are some items in our packets that we put together that you don't use, you can always do new folder. So I can just say this is my offer folder. Click create folder, go to the buyer packet, select the documents that I use every single time, and let's just do these as an example. Click copy to. I'm going to copy it as a dotloop document, keep it in the template section, and I'm going to put them in my offer folder and copy them. So now, if you use my offer folder, you only have the ones that you want to use. So you can create your own folders if you want to. The other nice piece of this, once you create your folders, if you open a document, and let's say there's something on this document that doesn't populate from the details page, so I would skip the client information, skip office information, skip your contact info, but let's say there's a fee or a commission percentage or something that you guys fill out that is the same every single time, that's not something that populates from the details page. So let's say this fax number as an example. So I'm just going to type in this fax number. So if that's the same every time, you can click save. And now when you load that document into your loop, it's automatically here. You don't have to type it in every single time. So if you have some things on your documents that you fill out the same that doesn't populate from the details page, you could always create your own folder, open up your documents, fill those things out, and then every single time you use them and you put them in your loop, they'll be the same for you instead of having to fill out those fields every time. So that is a nice shortcut that you have as a premium user of dotloop. But that's all I have for you guys, unless you guys have questions. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes and see if you guys have any questions. If you have questions as we're going through everything, feel free to email me. My email is jennifer@homesale.com. So email me if you guys have questions. The other area that I would definitely check out is you can go to support.dotloop.com. They have tons of different sections on here with training videos and training guides. We are also creating our own training guide, and Mary Porter has finished that as of this morning, actually. So by tomorrow morning, if you go on to Team Home Sale and you just go to dotloop, so if I open this up and I go to Home Sale Center, I'm going to log into my Home Sale Center. So if you go to your Home Sale Center dashboard and you click Team Home Sale, there's a dotloop folder. If you open that, by tomorrow in that agent dotloop training, she's actually going to have a huge training manual in here. It's 106 pages, so it's a really large PDF that I don't encourage you to print, but it has a table of contents. It's broken out by sections. It walks you step by step how to use all the features and functionality of the system. So it gives you guys a lot of information. It has screenshots in there so you know what you're looking for and what it looks like. We actually created that between the two of us by hand. So hopefully that is a huge help for you guys. It has everything that you need to kind of go through what I went through today and through the entire transaction. So that'll be in there tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day. Please let me know if you need help, if you get stuck, if you're struggling with something. If you can't get a hold of me, call dotloop support or call Bill Seifert or Gary Schlechtig. They've been heavily trained and should be able to help you guys out too. So thanks for joining me. I hope you guys have a great day.